Now then, Saturday morning, got a air service to do. Shouldn't be too bad. Yeah, should be alright to do. Just looking at it from studying van here, looking at the side of the wagon, I can see a mark light smashed off. A button damaged on hopper. That's before I start looking at it, so might not be that easy actually. Might just have a bit of work to do on this one. So yeah, come on, let's crack on. And so you've seen on that clip there, albeit speeded up quite a bit. Basically, what's that? A bit of fluff off a rag. Basically, inspecting the leaf the Mercedes Conic. So I'll just turn the camera around and I'll just show you exactly what I'm doing and what I'm looking for. So I'm under the back end, back axle this. So this is a rear steer axle. So basically checking the brake chamber, checking the pipes up here. Make sure they're not chaffing, checking the shock absorber, no play in the bushes, everything's cool, it's not leaking or anything like that because they leak oil down them. Checking the airbag, which is the suspension, making sure there's no bubbles in it, no cords exposed or anything like that. And then moving up to the airframe, which you can see comes up to the chassis there and locates the axle, keeps it square. Checking the bushes inside that, which you can see there's nothing wrong with that bush. What they have a circlip in here. Sometimes that circlip comes out and ends up over here, and then all the bush comes out as well. So I've had a few do that, but yeah, that's all good. And then at the back you've got two relay valves for the air brakes. What you can't see is at the minute the handbrake isn't on the vehicle, but I have a bar on the foot brake pedal which has got the brakes on, so any air leaks I can hear them, and we're all good with no air leaks. Same again on this side. Basically, I don't even notice on the video, but I had the grips on the steering joints here, it being a rear steer, and what I do is squeeze the joint to see if there's any play in it. What I do if I'm prepping a truck for MOT or anything like that, or doing an inspection on a truck in the workshop and I see excessive play in a ball joint, the first thing I do then is get my grips, squeeze the ball joint to see if it's just excessive play or it's just a ball joint moving. And the ball joint has to move, because if it doesn't it'll destroy itself, so you've got to have a little bit of movement in them. Same again on this side, checking the brake chamber, checking the brake pipes, make sure, because on these Mercedes what they do, you see the gap in the pipe there, what they'll do, the bracket or the little clips that hold them together will move, the pipes then touch each other and chaff against each other and the axle's turning, and then take it down to the cords and flatten the pipe off, which inevitably you'll end up with an air leak or a brake pipe blowing. So what I'll do now, I'll jump under between the drive and the steer axle, and I'll show you what I've been doing in there. So now we're sat between the drive axle here and the rear steer. You've got this power assisted ram which makes the axle steer. So checking the pipes, the hydraulic pipes here, because it's on a hydraulic system, make sure there's no leaks, no chaffing, make sure the pipes no cores exposed or anything like that. And yet again, squeezing the ball joints, make sure there's no play in them. You might notice me with the grease gun, greasing the kingpins, greasing up at the bottom and one up at the top. Same again, airframe, just the other end of it. And then on the drive axle, we have the same again, an airframe up at the top. So check the bush in that, check the 2 bushes at the top, and check the brake chambers. All the pipes are secure. For some reason, what people have an habit of doing is when they realign the brakes, you set the brake chamber off to get to the adjuster. So they cut these cable ties, they don't seem to put them back on. So you end up with them floating about, but on this one it's all good. And then I'll get my torch, I'll show you. That there is the brake caliper. And then I don't know if you can see or not, so we can get the camera in. The brake pads are in there. So checking that they were alright. Plenty of meat left on them. Everything's good there. And then what these have on the drive axles is a little clip here on the bottom of the airbag. And what happens is them clips come off. If they come off, there's nothing to stop that pedestal there from coming up. So just make sure them clips are on as well. Checking the bolts that secure the axle to the frame, and also checking the anti-roll bar here at the front. Make sure them bushes aren't worn, these bolts are all tight. And then also what we have to check on these, I've only ever known one do it. It's these anti-roll bars here on the rear steer. We had one and it broke clean in half here. So just checking there's no cracks or anything on them, because they do crack. I've seen a couple crack, but I've only seen one break in half. So, which I think is documented on an earlier video. So, yeah, so that's pretty much, that's your diff casing at the back, and that's pretty much it for under here. Obviously checking all your pipes again, nothing's chaffing, everything's secure, jobs are good. Right, what we'll do now, we'll go up there, and I'll show you what we're doing up there. Right, so now I might just squeeze myself back under. So yeah, as you can see, you've got your clips here again, holding the pedestals on your airbags, checking this anti-roll bar again for cracking or anything like that, checking these bushes in the end, they're all good, airbags are all good, there's no tears, anything like that in them, which is all nice. Checking the prop shaft, checking the bolts are tight, drill the prop, twist it, make sure there's no play in the universal joint here. Same again, checking all your parts are all clipped up. And then we move on further up, and we have what they call a centre bearing here. So basically, we've already noticed on the video, what you do, get hold of it, see if there's any movement in it. There's absolutely no movement in that. When that bush starts to wear here, you can lift it up and down a little bit, and that's where you're going to change it. If you don't change it and it wears itself through, that prop shaft's going to fall off, and it's going to make a hell of a mess. If you can imagine that prop, if it fell off here, it would literally be swinging like that, yeah? So you have a good chance it's going to damage all the chassis, all the pipe work, take the air tanks off, everything else, it'd be catastrophe. But usually, a sign that they are wearing here, you'll see little bits of rubber, like hot rubber, melted rubber, come out. So like I say, same again, just checking that them bolts are tight, these bolts are tight, these bolts are tight. And the other thing you need to do, which is a right pet hate of mine, what you tend to find when people have had a prop shaft off, they tend to split it here on the slider. That slider moves in and out, yeah? So what they'll do, they'll undo the prop at the back, and then they'll pull it out of the slider here, usually for recovery purposes, because they can't tow with the prop shaft on. So then you'll get some mechanics who will put it back together, and these UJs have all got to be in line, yeah? So what we'll find is, just let me slide around, as you can see, that UJ is in line with the back one there. They won't put that UJ in line with this one, yeah? And then what happens is, because it's got a balance weight on, you end up with the prop shaft running out of balance and a vibration goes through the chassis. And that is one pet hate of mine when you get a mechanic who does something like that, because to me, if they can't get a prop shaft straight, they should be touching one. Then here, that's your AdBlue pump, just checking all the pipes are right, no leaks. That's your water pipes for heating, and then your AdBlue lines there that put the AdBlue in and out. Yeah. So then move up here. Oops, let me move a bit. Let me sit up, that's better. So same again, checking the bolts, checking all the pipe works fine, everything's good, everything's right. And then one of the most important things to do is check this seal here for the tachograph. Yeah. So that's your tachograph speed cable that comes into the gearbox, and you've got to make sure that seal's intact, which it is, which is all good. I don't know if you can notice on the video or not, but you can see the on the top of the gearbox we have some black stuff, which is commonly known as bin juice. And what it is, on this body, it's got an inspection panel here, and it's leaking out of that seal. So I don't have one of them on the van, so I can't do anything with that today, but I can certainly put them in inspection sheet to rebook for another day. So yeah, so we've gone from the back now up to the back of the gearbox, which is an Allison box. I'll just show you. I could just manoeuvre myself again. You're too fat for this job, I think. Oh. These pipes here are coolant pipes, which cool the gearbox. So they are prone for these parts here, and rubber bits, they swell and then they start leaking. Obviously these are okay, they're all good. And then go into the front axle. That's your level sensor, because the vehicle's on full air suspension. See, it's got the airbags on the front for lifting the suspension up and down, and that adjusts the height of these airbags here. Same again, track rod for your steering, check that straight, because sometimes they do get bent if the driver's hit a curb or anything like that very hard. Basically it's just a repeat of what we've done on the back end with the steering joints, squeezing them, making sure everything's alright, checking the shock absorbers, checking the brake pipes. Sometimes what you get on these is that brake pipe there will chaff against the power steering reservoir. Obviously this one's not, it's nowhere near it, so jobs are good at them, but sometimes they do. If the chamber's been changed and they've just not got it set right, it will chaff against that power steering reservoir there, which isn't ideal. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's what we're looking at underneath. So in a nutshell. And then obviously you've got your tie rod here, same again. Check these bolts, check the bushes in here are all good. And we'll move on to upstairs now. So as you'll see when I come down the side of the vehicle, I was tapping the wheel nuts, making sure they were tight, checking the body bolts underneath. See all these bolts here, and these brackets, which are holding the body to the chassis. Same again here, checking them body bolts there are all tight. Checking these mudguard stairs are tight, because sometimes they can come loose there, and you'll just get a bit of lift in that mudguard stair, but they're all tight, they're all good. And then on the tyres, you'll notice I'm choking the tyres up. So basically, what I was doing there, that's a tyre size 315 22.5. That's the load rating of the tyre. And at the bottom here, that's when the tyre was manufactured there, which is week 37, 2021. That tyre was manufactured, and that's the serial number of the tyre there, yeah? At the minute, tyres and drive axles and rear steers aren't age thing. They'll put a steer tyre can only be 10 years old. Once it gets 10 years old, it's scrap. On these, they can be over 10 years old. However, they are changing it. They haven't changed it as yet, but they are doing. And then, what I was saying, the reason why you're checking this tyre size here, I'll show you. Is in the cab here, you have what they call a tachograph installation plaque, yeah? Now you can see there is the tyre size of 315 8TR 225, which relates to the size of the tyre on the back, which has got to be the same. That's your tachograph calibration date there, which was the 26th of April 2022. They've to be done every 2 years, so 2024, that's when that'll need recalibrating. And then you've got your limited speed sticker here as well. So yeah, and that's pretty much it for around the outside. So in the cab, you'd have seen on the time lapse, checking the seat belts, make sure they're all working all right on all the seats. And then let's turn the radio down. On the dash, what I did, I pumped the brake pedal to empty the air tanks and then built the air back up, and it's got to be built up within a certain time to pass MOT. Checking the lights, everything else. And then what I'm going to do now, I'm going to move on. So what I'll do now, we've done the underside, we've done the top, we've done the side of the cab. That's all done. I've got some defects that want doing. So what we'll do now, we'll move on and do the body inspection and the bin lift inspection. And what I like to do is get all my inspections done first. Then I've got my list of defects and then crack on with the defects. So, to be fair, chassis wise, she's pretty good. There's not a lot wrong with her. The only thing that there is wrong with her is damage. Apart from that, there's nothing else. Brakes are all good. Steering joints are all good. Everything's all good. I need to put the cab up as well, just check under the cab, check the belts, stuff like that. On the dashboard, you check the oil level, which I'm not a great fan of. I would prefer a traditional dipstick you put in, pull out and check. But unfortunately, Thatcher's Britain, we've now gone to digital testing on, not testing, level checking on the gear. Put my teeth back in. We've now gone to it telling you how much oil is in the engine or how much it wants in the engine. So it's telling me on here it wants to top up the oil for 2 litres. So the engine oil wants 2 litres in it. So pop 2 litres in it while it cabs up, so I can go through it right through the top at rock cover, which is a lot easier. And yeah, that in a nutshell is an inspection. Dead easy, sir. This truck's only been MOT'd last month, August. It was MOT'd on my job card. Tells you the 3 previous jobs, and the last job it had on the job card was his MOT service and MOT inspection. So this what I'm doing now is what they call an A service, which is basically a 6-weekly inspection. A C service is basically MOT, all the oil and filters changed, body oil and filters changed as well. And yeah, so let's crack on, I think. Let's get cab up, we'll have a look under that. I'll show you around the engine, show you what's what is what on the engine, if I can remember what is what on the engine. Anyway, yeah, so what we'll do that. It is now currently 9:25 in the morning. As you may see, I am wet through with sweat, and that is because it is 26 degrees already. Isn't it bizarre, right? We have all August where the weather is horrific. It's raining, it's cold, it's like back end, it's like being in winter, weren't it, August? Kids go back to school and it's absolutely cracking the flags. So yeah, let's get this cab up and have a look. Right then, so we're tilting the cab. You've got a little clip there, a clip there. You've got to open the front grille up. If you don't open the front grille up, it falls on the bumper and it'll smash the bumper, not the bumper, the grille to pieces. Then you've got what we call a cab tilt pump here. You can see the down arrow, up arrow. So we do, turn that to up, then we put the bar on here and pump away, and the cab goes up. Also, before you put a cab up, always check inside the cab, nothing's going to come through the windscreen when the cab goes over, like a hard hat or a fire extinguisher or anything like that. Because nobody will thank you for smashing a windscreen. And then once the cab's up, we have one of these, and we just pop that on the cab ram, stop the cab coming back down to make it all safe. So you can see that's the cab ram there, which takes the cab up and down. And then what we do, we just pop this on here, and then if the cab does decide to come down, it can't because it's locked on with that. With these Iconics, they don't go past centre of gravity, which means the cab could come down. Yeah, so top shocker bus, just check them. Same with the pipes here, they're all good, there's no wear on them. Then tap the bolts. Here you've got your steering shaft that goes up to the steering wheel. You've got your universal joint here and your power steering box here. So just check them seals at the top can sometimes go, which means they'll leak oil out. This one's all good, nothing wrong with that. And then we have a viscous fan that turns nice and as it should do, which is driven off the prop shaft to the crank pulley at the front of the engine. So the way these work is, when the engine gets to a certain temperature, it kicks in and makes the fan drive properly, yeah? So then we're just checking the belt at the front, make sure there's no cracks, it's not excessively worn or anything like that at the front. Intercooler pipes, they're all good. You can see there's a little bit of an oil leak on that one, so just investigate that. So I've got oil coming out of that. And then we have a turbo, and the other thing these Iconics are bad for is these exhaust manifold bolts here, they shear off, but looking at this, they're all there, so that's good. And then this engine requires 2 litres of engine oil, so I'll fill it through there, open that, pour it in. It's a lot quicker than it is doing it off the fill point on the side, so we'll do that. And then we'll just pop up there, check that power steering reservoir, the other one at the other side, and make sure there's plenty of oil in them. Then on this side of the engine, it's pretty much all looking good. That's high pressure fuel rail. Them pipes there lead to your injectors inside the engine. For the diesel, that's your pre-fuel filter and your fuel filter. Your compressor sat down here. That's your fuel pump there. And that here is where you would have a dipstick. So you've got the tube going into the sump, but no dipstick, which I don't get. I don't put a dipstick in there, which to me would make sense. But anyway, never mind. Right, let's crack on. Right then, so we've done the chassis inspection and everything's good with that, apart from a bit of damage we have to repair. Now what we're going to do is what we call a body and bin lift inspection. So basically inspect the body, make sure that's all good, and inspect the bin lift. So what we'll do, I'll just talk you through it quickly, and then through on time lapse so you can watch me do one. So I'll turn the camera around now so you can see what I'm looking at. Right, so here we have what we call a bin lift, which is on a Zolla 2301 Delta high lift, that's what they call them. So basically what first thing we do, go through all the buttons, make sure everything's working fine, check all the emergency stop buttons, make sure they're all working fine, check the bin lift goes into auto when these barrier arms come down, if it comes down, and then do the body then. So I always start on the bin lift and then I go on to the body. So when we're doing the body inspection, it's retract the ejector up to the front, make sure that pulls all the way to the front, check the oil level in the tank when the ejector's at the front, because there's a big ram which I'll show you when I climb it back after. When that retracts to the front of the vehicle, all the oil goes back into the hydraulic tank. So if it's more than half full with the ejector at the front, it's got too much oil in it. A common mistake people make is they will change the hydraulic pipe on it, look at the oil tank and think it needs oil in it, so they'll put oil in it, and then when the ram comes to the front, all the oil comes out of the tank, makes a mess. as anyone will know who's ever dealt with hydraulic oil, they need to throw a couple of litres hot flow. It looks like you're throwing 5 gallon hot flow. It just spreads like I don't know what, it being so thin. So, and then what we do, we open the back door, check the packer, check the cheeks in the hopper, make sure they're alright, make sure there's no cracks in the packer, make sure everything's greasing fine, and then that's pretty much it really. Check the operation of everything, but as I'm doing it, I'll show you what I'm doing, and then you can see what I mean, because it sounds easier on study you're telling me. So, and then once that's done, providing not too many defects on that, we're on a good job here today. So, and it's getting warmer, and the sun has now come round. I was stood in the shade before, now I'm under the sun. But on the plus side, we're getting a hell of a tan. Right, so what I've done there, just gone through it, check the emergency stop buttons, make sure they're all working, which they are. Unfortunately, on this cab box, once you press the D-stop button, you've got to walk back to the cab, turn the cab box back on again. So I'm certainly getting my steps in on that one, and just done a quick visual check on what I can see. I'll turn the camera around and show you, but you might notice on that time lapse sign, when the chair was coming back down, let me get hold of it, pull it, that's not because there's a fault on it. The reason for that is these chairs, the oil's gravity fed when it's coming out. So when it's got a bin on it, it'll come down no problem. When I say I pull on it, you literally just rest your hand on it and somewhat enough and it comes back down again. So that's only because the oil's purely gravity fed back out of the chair to the tank. So I'll just turn the camera around now, and I'll just go show you a couple of issues I've noticed already. So on these chairs we have what we call primary striker and a secondary striker here. So what happens is this truck can do trade and single wheelie bins. So what happens is when you put your wheelie bin on, it hits that striker there, then the chair will lift and pick the bin up, which will then hit the secondary striker, and once it's hit that secondary striker, then the chair goes up, empties a bin, comes back down again. So here, the primary striker, the bolt's missing out of it, the spring's missing out of it, yeah? So it should sit like this one is doing here, and go down. See how it's going up now? It's done that purely because it's set in trade, yeah? So if it's in trade, it thinks the trade bin's just gone against it and lifted itself up, yeah? So, we'll probably do it again now, so lifted that striker up, pull it back down, press that one, and the bin lift thinks it's got a chair on it. It's got a bin on it, and that's why it's lifted, because it's in operating in auto. So that's the first thing I've seen with it, that's wrong. Second thing, these bin catchers there want straightening up. Bin guides want straightening up. And then up on the top, the bin catcher bar there, you can see, it's bent. So that won't rectifying as well. And I also noticed when I pull the chair up, that wants replacing as well. So these are jobs that we may have to rebook, because I don't have these parts on my van, and it being a Saturday, I'll probably not be able to get them anyway. Yeah, so that's basically what I've noticed on here. The also thing I'll show you is when the chair goes up, we have these bars here. Now them bars there are on a proxy switch up here. So you can probably see this proxy switch there. See the light on it? When I pull that arm down, the light goes off. So basically what that's for is when the chair's up, something hits that, somebody walks into it, it stops the chair from coming down and hitting somebody or something. So it's just like a safety device, is that. And then what I'll do, and you can just hear now, because the chair's been up, come back down, the packer's now kicked in. He thinks the bin's just been emptied, so it's now doing its cycle. And on the side here, we'll start through the control panel. So emergency stop, and then you've got these buttons here. Yeah, you can see the pictures on them. So that's a sweep blade up, sweep blade down, panel down, panel up. Then you've got your start button, and then we've got a bell which beeps in the cab. That turns your work light on and off. And then you've got this yellow button here. So what that button's for is, if the panels come down, somebody's hit the emergency stop button like that, then you press that, what it does then, it lifts the panel back up, yeah? So it's like a rescue button. So if somebody's, or something's going there you don't want munching up, smack your emergency stop, press the yellow button, panel comes back up again. So what I'll do now, I'll stick it back on time lapse, get bin lifting inspection, and then we'll get onto the body, time lapse that, and then obviously I'll talk you through what I'm doing. So let's crack on, let's get done. Right, so basically that's bin lift done. Try to throw a bin on it now and make sure it works right with the bin, and that'll do for that. So what I've just done, I've just gone into the cab, onto the cab box. Basically what happens is once the bin goes in, the packer cycles twice, yeah? So I've adjusted it on the cab box, it's continually cycling now. So I'll jump up and then I can check the packer, the pins, make sure everything's working right, the slide blocks, everything else in there. And then we know all that's right, so it's continuously cycling. And then once I'm happy with that, I'll turn the vehicle off, take the keys out of the ignition, then I'll climb in the back and I'll grease all the back as well. So what I'll do now, I'll jump up, I'll set it cycling, jump up and show you what I'm looking for. Right, so what I'm looking at now is this packer plate coming down, and I'm watching the rams, and on the bottom of the rams the bearings there, to make sure there's no excessive play in them bearings. And that's why I set it on continuous cycle so you can watch that. I don't even notice it not, but you can hear the packer plate bouncing, so there's some play somewhere in something, which I'm going to investigate in a minute and have a look. On the side here, I don't know if you can see there's a proxy sensor there, the proxy sensor at the top. When that proxy sensor lights up, it then knows the packer's at the top, sends it back down again. Then this proxy sensor here will light up. It knows the packer's at the bottom, so it'll stop it, send the sweep blade round, and then up it'll go again. So let's let it go one more time, and then we'll have a closer look at it. So what I'm going to do now, obviously because I pressed the emergency stop button, then the cab box is now turned off. So I'll turn the cab box back on. I'm going to select this side here, which is for opening the back door. And you're going to turn it on again there. Now the back door's opening up, so it's going to open the back door a little bit. It's about 45, 48, something like that percent. Come back down. And now I can see the back side of the packer, yeah? So put these safety bars in. You can probably see the tailgate seals not the best, so I'll probably order one up for that, get a new tailgate seal put in it as well. So basically what I'm doing now, I'm looking at the packer here to make sure there's no cracks on the welds, everything's good, nothing's cracking, there's no cracks on here on the panel. Same on the cheeks at the side of the hopper, there's no cracks on them. And luckily we don't have smell-o-vision because it stinks. Plenty of flies knocking about. But everything's looking good there. Up there as well on the panel, everything's looking good. So there's that tailgate seal what's doing. We'll order one in for that, get that done. And then you can see the hopper plate starting to split. So that wanted a sheet of steel putting in that. Turn round, there's the back side of the ejector. So what I'm going to do now, pull that ejector back, check these slide blocks here, make sure they're not excessively warm, and then once I've done that, I'll probably jump in the back, check the ejector around, make sure that's all good, check the floor on the truck, which all looks good from here, and oil these for the slide blocks to run on. Right, so that's the ejector all the way out. So what I do is checking these slide blocks, make sure there's alright, which they are. There's plenty of meat on them. And the same again on this side, check that slide block. That slide block there, makes sure there's plenty of meat on them as well. Off camera what I did before, took the vehicle onto the wash and I washed this back door off, and washed all this off, and then we can then actually see what we're playing with. Keys out of the ignition and into my pocket so nobody can start the truck up while I'm in the back of it, because that would be less than ideal, to be fair. We're tight, I'll have to oil that a bit. Tidy. Bingels. Lovely, lovely bingels. Smells so good. Honest. Right. Let's see if I can get the fat legs up here. Get in. Right, so finally managed to get in. Not very dignified, but we got in. So now we're just checking the ejector, make sure everything looks good on that. Same with the ram, everything looks good down there. The floor of the vehicle looks good. That don't look too bad. And then if you look at the ram, just checking the ram tubes, make sure there's no oil leaking. Also making sure there's no pits or anything in the ram, so that's all good. Happy days. So what we'll do now, I'll oil these. The slide blocks run on the runners there. jump back out, shut the door, and then I'll retract that then all the way up to the front. Then we'll get that retracted up and we'll see what's what. Right, so what we'll do now, I'll jump in cab, pull that all the way up to the front, and then once that's up at the front, then we can check, drop the tailgate, check the hydraulic oil level, and take it from there. Let's do it. That, the ejector out at the front, so that's the point it will be out when the body's full of waste. So now I'll turn the camera around and I'll just show you the hydraulic oil level. So you can see on the side of the tank there, probably can't see because of the sun, the pipe. Air levels half up that pipe. So it being half at that pipe, it's spot on where it is. So what I'm going to do now is shut the ejector back, or shut the back door, because when the driver comes to use the vehicle on Monday morning or Sunday or whenever it's back out, next time it goes out, the ejector's at the back and it'll pack properly. Otherwise, leave the ejector at the front, it'll put a loose pack and it won't get as much weight on. So, which I'd imagine won't make him very happy if he's got to go and tip off and start again halfway through his round. So yeah, so that's the plan now. Front ejector back to back, and then job's good. So that's his back door all shut. Ejector's probably sat around about here somewhere. So when it starts packing, it's got room to pack it and put it in. So yeah, that's basically not a very in-depth, but a slight insight into the inspection of the body and building. Now we've got to get his defects done on it, or what defects we can do, and then we'll order the parts we need and revisit probably Monday, Tuesday next week. So the parts that I do require that I haven't got with me ain't anything too critical. The truck's not going to take any harm. So yeah, we've got them bits done now, eh? Right then, so one of the defects was wheel nut marker missing on the front, put that on. Very easy that. And we've got a side marker lamp missing here. Luckily I have one on my van. I don't know if he's fit these before, but crap idea if you ask me. So basically, you get your side marker lamp. It sits inside the body like so. Oh, one's falling over. Yeah, as I was saying, sits in the body like so. You have these metal clips that sit up back of them that you can never get on. You end up breaking all your nails doing it. So yeah, let's get that on. So that's us done on time. Basically that's just a little Saturday clip of what I'm doing on my day-to-day stuff, which is basically just an air service, body and bin inspection. I need to order some parts for the truck, and then obviously we'll revisit at a later date and get them parts fitted. Nothing's really an issue what we need to refit, parts we need to change, but they'll be able to carry on as it is, which is all good. Now, yesterday I went up to Windermere, did a job there, which I'll put some pictures up now. I didn't video that one, so as you can see from the pictures, we've had a little rodent, a little munch. So unfortunately that job there went right against the grain with me, and it's had to be referred back to workshop. Unfortunately, I repaired some of the damage, but where the wiring runs up the back of the channel, I suspect there's more damage up there which I couldn't get to without pulling the whole wiring loom out. I was on a car park in Windermere, which wasn't really the sort of place to start pulling a full wiring loom out, and it could take a day or two to do. So yeah, so that went against the grain, did that. Now, it is what it is, isn't it? So if you've not seen the channel before, basically I'm a HGV mechanic for a company called CP Davidson's, and we operate bin trucks, hook loaders, and our ground servicing, fixing, stuff like that, 50-50 in the workshop and on the road. Some weeks I'm on the road all week, some weeks I'm in the workshop all week. All varies on the workload and what's happening at the time. So yeah, so I upload the videos as often as I can. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So if you're new to the channel, hit the like button and subscribe. It all's good for the algorithm for YouTube, so which is good. And yeah, just another one whilst got you. If you haven't seen a lad called Welder Faber on YouTube, I'll put a link in the description to him. Have a look and check his channel out. A lad called Baz, he works for Fox Group at Leyland. Fantastic, absolutely fantastic channel. He posts videos, I think it's every Saturday usually his videos come out. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I can't wait for a Saturday to watch them, so give him a look. He's definitely worth watching, definitely worth watching. So yeah, on that note, I'll wrap it up at that, and we'll catch you on the next one. Have a good weekend, take care. Now then, so Saturday morning, and we have a air service to do, which is nice and easy, he says. Let's try again with that one. See if we can do it out with the camera following that list.